Good evening. This is the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and tonight our focus is on the sudden appointment of the new Foreign Secretary that has raised a lot of questions. We'll be talking about all that and more over the next half hour, but first the headlines. S. Jaishankar takes over as the Foreign Secretary after Sujata Singh says the government's priorities are his priorities. Campaigning picks up pace in Delhi. The BJP decides to release a vision document instead of a manifesto. Rahul Gandhi targets Prime Minister Narendra Modi on false promises. Marching bands, new compositions, pipes and drums at the beating retreat mark culmination of 4-day-long Republic Day celebrations. Islamic State terrorists set a new deadline for hostage swap deal. Japan verifies purported audio message of captive Kenji Goto. And in the Australian Open, Maria Sharapova to take on Serena Williams for the women's crown. A top story tonight, Subramaniam Jaishankar took charge as Foreign Secretary today, replacing Sujata Singh. Now, Singh's tenure was curtailed last night. The decision to replace Singh was taken by the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
My priorities are the government's priorities. I would say I'm very honored that I have been assigned this responsibility, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
1977 batch IFS officer Subramaniam Jaishankar's comment after taking charge as the country's highest diplomat. As per rules, Jaishankar will have a 2-year tenure. Before his appointment as Foreign Secretary, the 60-year-old diplomat was India's ambassador to the US. He had also been posted as ambassador to China, Singapore and Czech Republic. As he took over, the importance of media was not lost on him.
As I take over, I'm happy to work with all of you. I know that the media is an important part of our foreign policy projection.
The circumstances of Jaishankar's appointment are not without controversy. His predecessor Sujata Singh's tenure was curtailed 8 months before it ended. Singh had taken over as the third woman Foreign Secretary in August 2013. The opposition parties, especially the Congress, have questioned the appointment.
The senior-most women Foreign Secretary, Ms. Sujata Singh, has been summarily terminated without any reason post a supposedly successful visit of United States President. It raises serious doubts on the intent as also the objectives.
But the BJP has defended the move, saying there is no political motive behind it.
I don't see any reason for any hue and cry. A government is within its rights to decide how it would like to appoint what officers and with what responsibility. And this is not the first time that the government or preceding governments have taken decisions. I don't see any reason that anyone can attribute any political motives or otherwise. This is the right of the government.
इस वक्त जो मुनासिब तरकीब उन्होंने चुनी है वो ये है कि उसे फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी मुकर्रर करें, और लेकिन इसके लिए सुजाता को जगह देनी होगी और वहां से हटना होगा, जो हो चुका है.
Singh's removal comes close on the heels of a similar termination of the DRDO chief. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we have with us Mr. Anand Sahai, he's the coordinating editor at The Asian Age. Thank you very much for coming in, sir, because what we're trying to understand is the message that perhaps the government is trying to send out. Was it just an ordinary thing where Mr. Jaishankar had to be brought in? That is what, if the Prime Minister felt and it was his prerogative, then so be it, or the Foreign Minister suggested so?
Ishad, before I come to your direct question, I have something to say here. I think the commentary from your reporter, as indeed much of the commentary I've seen all through the day today, is in need of correction.
Right.
Mr. Jaishankar's term will not be 2 years. If you look at the ACC, Appointment Committee of the Cabinet, their order, it says he will have a tenure of 2 years from the day he takes charge, or until further orders.
Right.
No, those are the crucial last four words there in that ACC note, under which Mr. Jaishankar, the new Foreign Secretary, has taken charge.
Right.
Which means that his term can be brought to an end before 2 years.
Okay.
End. Which means the Foreign Service today will have a leader whose term will not be one of fixed tenure, like it was in the past for some time, and like the fixed term enjoyed by the heads of other services.
Okay.
For instance, your security services and so on. So this is, to my mind, a distinct departure, one which will be thought about for some time by those in the Foreign Service. And yes, I think it's what has happened is derogatory in my view to a well-honed cadre of very fine officers. Our Foreign Service is tiny in size in relation to the responsibilities India has in the external world and in relation to the Foreign Service of other countries. And this very small service does a fairly outstanding job on the whole.
All right, Mr. Sai, but as the BJP was saying, it's the government's prerogative to appoint whoever it so deems fit.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Any government has a prerogative to do what it likes. Because it is an elected government. There's no question about that. I did hear the BJP spokesman. He is dead right. I go along. But there is something called institution building, institution nurturing. There is something called grace. There is something called, dignified treatment. This is not about individuals. I must make that absolutely clear. Both the officers are very fine officers.
Right.
Jaishankar, whom I've had chance to know, is a man of some distinction in his own right. We are not talking about any of those matters. What we are saying is that in case his term was coming to a close, 2 days from today, he was meant to retire. If you wish to elevate him, and the person who was incumbent until yesterday had 6 more months to go, I think our ambassador in Washington could have been given 6 months more, and then brought in as a Foreign Secretary. Heavens would not have fallen. I think it's a very clumsy explanation to say that because Mr. Jaishankar was about to retire, and because the Prime Minister wanted him so badly, and therefore, in a stunning display of bad grace, the incumbent had to leave.
Right, Mr. Sai, but as far as the message to the entire bureaucracy is concerned, I mean, we were talking, the story also mentioned about the DRDO chief and now the Foreign Secretary. At one point of time, it was the SPG chief. So in terms of appointments, the message to the bureaucracy, how is it going? I mean, you interact with senior bureaucrats a lot.
I think that's a good point you're making. There's a good question you're asking. The lesson is one of whimsicality. While, on paper, all governments can do all elected governments can do what they like. But, there are institutional mores, there are unwritten codes and so on. And exactly the examples you've given, they speak not too highly of those who are making all the decisions. And especially in the case of Ms. Singh, as your reporter rightly pointed out, this is right on the heels of a very, very successful visit, and in a visit where we saw women officers of various armed forces being right there in the lead, and something which invited comment from the visiting US President.
Right.
And a day later, the head of the Indian Foreign Service, a woman who is gone. This is also a gender question here, I think.
All right. All right, so a whole host of questions, perhaps not that many answers. The government, of course, saying that it was completely in its right to do as it pleased. But thank you very much, Mr. Anand Sai, for coming in and explaining the nuances of this decision and this particular move by the government. All right, moving on now on to Delhi politics, where the BJP has chalked out an aggressive strategy for the upcoming assembly polls in the national capital. In a meeting today, the party has decided that it will hold 250 rallies in the national capital, including 4 addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Its campaign, targeted mostly at the Aam Aadmi Party, will also include other big names from the union government and other BJP-ruled states.
With Delhi polls nearing, BJP has chalked out an aggressive plan to win the high-pitched contest. In an attempt to take on the Aam Aadmi Party, the party has decided to hold 250 rallies across the national capital in a week. BJP members from 13 states and 120 of its MPs will be part of the Delhi campaign.
प्रधानमंत्री जी की 4 रैलियां दिल्ली में जो तय हुई हैं वो 31 तारीख को सीबीडी ग्राउंड में होगी ईस्ट दिल्ली के अंदर कड़कड़डुमा के पास। दूसरी रैली 1 तारीख को होगी द्वारिका के अंदर। तीसरी रैली 2 तारीख को होगी जैपनीज पार्क रोहिणी के अंदर और चौथी रैली होगी साउथ दिल्ली के अंदर विराट सिनेमा के पास दक्षिण दिल्ली कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी के अंदर।
The BJP meet came after the party pushed some of its big guns into Delhi's electoral battle on Wednesday, asking its cabinet ministers and a chief minister to campaign for the 7th of February elections. BJP has decided not to release a manifesto for Delhi polls. Instead, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will come out with a vision document.
हमारा घोषणा पत्र नहीं होगा, हमारा विजन डॉक्यूमेंट होगा जो नरेंद्र भाई के नेतृत्व में, किरण बेदी जी के अगुवाई में हम यहां अमल करने वाले हैं, कार्यान्वित करने वाले।
In an attempt to target Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal, BJP will also put 5 questions before him till polling.
जो 5 सवाल केजरीवाल से लगातार हम 6 तारीख तक करेंगे, उसके संदर्भ में माननीय अनंत कुमार जी ने बताया कि आज हमारे 2 मंत्री उसके संदर्भ में बातचीत करेंगे।
However, AAP is unfazed by BJP's challenge. Instead, the party insisted on a debate between Kejriwal and BJP's chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi before the polls.
पब्लिक को ये अधिकार है जानने का कि अरविंद केजरीवाल या किरण बेदी किस तरह का विजन रखती हैं, क्या एजेंडा है दिल्ली वालों के लिए। तो डिबेट से भागेंगे जिसके अंदर सच की ताकत होती है, ईमानदारी की ताकत होती है, नियत साफ होती है। वो छिप के 5 सवाल नहीं करता, वो पब्लिक में आके 500 सवाल करता है और 500 सवालों के जवाब देने की हिम्मत रखता है।
The poll is expected to be a tight contest between BJP and AAP, the 2 largest parties in the last assembly elections. With 2 former aides of Anna Hazare involved in an electoral face-off, the campaign has already turned out into an interesting one. With inputs from Anu Devan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And all 3 major parties contesting the Delhi elections have shifted their gears in campaigning today. The BJP announced it will field no less than 120 senior leaders to canvass for votes in the city, while the Congress led by its Vice President Rahul Gandhi stepped up its attack on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal addressed well-attended rallies in the farthest localities of the capital.
In line with its plans to use frontline leaders for canvassing for votes in Delhi, the BJP had union ministers Smriti Irani and Piyush Goyal campaigning in various localities of the city.
इस बार दिल्ली में बैकडोर एंट्री कांग्रेस की ना हो। आम आदमी पार्टी ने जो बार बार लोगों के सपने दिखाकर लोगों के सपने को चकनाचूर करने का पाप किया है, इस बार उनके झांसे में न आकर दिल्ली में पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार बने, आज यही निवेदन आपके बीच में मैं लेकर आई हूँ।
दिल्ली में ऐसी सरकार आती है जो दिनों रात दिल्ली की चिंता करे, दिल्ली में 24 घंटे 7 दिन बिजली मिले उसकी चिंता करे, दिल्ली में अच्छी बिजली मिले, सस्ती बिजली मिले और पूरी बिजली मिले, इसकी चिंता करे। तो वो सरकार प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की अगुवाई में किरण बेदी जी दे सकती हैं।
For the Congress, Rahul Gandhi addressed a rally in which he targeted both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Arvind Kejriwal.
जन लोकपाल बिल की बात की और पूरे हिंदुस्तान को उन्होंने बताया कि जन लोकपाल बिल आएगा तो भ्रष्टाचार खत्म हो जाएगा। जन लोकपाल बिल आया, क्या भ्रष्टाचार खत्म हुआ? भ्रष्टाचार कम हुआ? बिजली की बात की, बिजली के दाम कम करेंगे, बिजली के दाम कम हुए। पानी की बात की, पानी के दाम कम हुए।
Aam Aadmi Party leader Arvind Kejriwal, on the other hand, addressed rallies in the city. Party leaders also responded to the BJP's decision, posed 5 questions to Kejriwal on a daily basis.
Why stop at 5? Let's discuss 50 questions. We have given an open offer. Please come and debate. Let Arvind Kejriwal and Kiran Bedi do what Kiran Bedi has been asking for all these years. Let's have a public debate. Why is the BJP running away from public debate?
The Congress has already released its election manifesto, while the Aam Aadmi Party is expected to announce its poll promises this week. Among other things, the Congress has promised a bill to ensure housing rights. With Ravinder Singh Shoran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time for a quick break now, but as we go into that, we leave you with the colourful Beating the Retreat ceremony that concluded just a while back.
अंकल जी किशन खुराना 32 की उम्र तक मैंने दुकानदारी की, सेल्समैन। जन्म के पहले जब मेरी माँ के अंदर था और मेरी माँ जब फिल्म देखने जाती थी, मैं भी वो फिल्म देखता था जरूर। शास्त्र बुद्धि is waiting for the next tweet is शास्त्र बुद्धि। मैं उसकी वाट लगा दूंगा। बुद्धनाथ जी, अच्छा हुआ बता दिया, वरना गोद में बैठ जाता। हाय, मैं हूँ पवन ईरानी और मुझसे मिलिए प्रोग्राम गुफ्तगू में,
सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी।
I'll come back here with the news tonight. Now, Colonel Emin Rai, who was killed in a gun battle with militants in Kashmir's Pulwama, was cremated with full military honours today. Army Chief General Dalbir Singh Suhag placed a wreath as hundreds gathered to pay their last respects to the officer. The army remembered the martyr as someone who led from the front.
Colonel Emin Rai, who was martyred during an anti-terror operation in Jammu and Kashmir, was given full state honours at his cremation on Thursday morning. He was given a tearful farewell by his family members, his wife, 2 daughters and a son, as well as army personnel including Chief Dalbir Singh Suhag, who were present. Colonel Rai's elder brother, who is also from the Gorkha Rifles, performed the last rites.
हाँ, हमारे परिवार में ये दूसरा गैलेंट्री है। उससे पहले मुझे मिला है और वो हमसे भी आगे निकल गया, छोटा हुए भी। He has made us proud and the entire family salutes him, the entire nation salutes him.
देश के लिए सब कुछ किया इसने और ये दोनों हमारे लड़के आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, आगे बढ़ चुकी थी और सदा सम्मानित जनता उनको रखेगी, ऐसा भरोसा मुझे है।
ये बच्चा ये हमारी यूनिट का है, हम गोरखा यूनिट से हैं, 29 GR है हमारी। वी आर प्राउड ऑफ दैट बटालियन एंड वी आर प्राउड ऑफ दैट दिस मिस्टर कर्नल राय।
Army also remembered the martyr as a hero who led from the front.
Been awarded Youth Sabha Medal on 26th of January, and it is an example of leadership that moment he got information that there are 2 terrorists in that area, he immediately with his QRT and some other people himself led the party, went and cordoned the area, and thereafter both of them were eliminated.
Colonel Rai was martyred a day after receiving a gallantry award on Republic Day for his service in Kashmir. He was the highest ranking officer to be killed in an encounter in Kashmir in a year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Minister of State for Finance, Jayant Sinha, has asserted that the government's decision to not appeal against the Bombay High Court's order favouring Vodafone will lift investors' sentiments. He said the decision will avoid a fruitless litigation and allay investors' concerns on tax issues. He also said that India needs a simple, predictable and fair tax regime to restore foreign investor confidence. The decision in the Vodafone case was taken by the Union Cabinet on Wednesday. The Tax Department has slapped a 3,200 crore notice on Vodafone, alleging underpricing of shares of its Indian subsidiary when transferring them to its parent 5 years ago.
We want a simple, predictable and fair tax regime that is welcoming to foreign investors and that is fair and predictable for our domestic business people as well. And what you are seeing from some of the decisions that we are taking right now is that we are following through on those statements.
Well, some international news now, and Islamic State hostage crisis has taken a fresh turn today with the release of a new audio message. The voice is reportedly of a Japanese journalist who has been held hostage. It threatens to kill a Jordanian Air Force pilot unless an Iraqi female prisoner in Jordan was released by Thursday. Japanese officials confirmed that the audio message appears to be genuine. Jordan, meanwhile, has offered to free the prisoner in exchange for the pilot.
This is a voice message I've been told to send to you.
IS has released this fresh audio message, purportedly in the voice of Kenji Goto, the Japanese journalist who has been held hostage for days.
If Sajida al-Rishawi is not ready for exchange for my life at the Turkish border by Thursday sunset 29th of January, Mosul time, the Jordanian pilot Muaz al-Kasasba will be killed immediately.
A threat to behead the Jordanian pilot held by IS if a female prisoner Sajida al-Rishawi is not released. She is on death row in Jordan for her role in 2006 triple hotel bombings in Amman that killed 60 people. Japanese officials confirmed that the audio appears to be genuine. Tokyo pleaded with Jordan to help in freeing Goto. Jordan has offered to release Rishawi but in exchange of its pilot.
現在それを受けて確認中でありますけれども、症情報を総合すればですね、後藤さんの声である可能性が高い、そういうふうに考えています。
具体的な内容を申し上げることはできませんが、政府としては極めて厳しい状況の中、ヨルダン政府に協力を要請をしてきておりまして、引き続き後藤さんが早期に解放されるよう全力を尽くしていく考えでございます。
Japan has been seeking Jordan's help to free Goto since an IS video last week claimed beheading of another Japanese hostage, Haruna Yukawa. Initially, the IS has asked for a ransom of $200 million for the release of Yukawa and Goto, but later they demanded Jordan to free Rishawi. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Cuban President Raul Castro has asked America to hand over the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay before the two nations re-establish normal relations. Castro said this while speaking at a summit in Costa Rica. He also demanded that the U.S. lift the half-century-old trade embargo. The summit's agenda includes discussions of poverty across the region in addition to the U.S.-Cuba relations. During last month, the U.S. has extended a friendly hand towards Cuba, agreeing to restore diplomatic ties that were severed in 1961. Both countries initiated steps towards renewing full diplomatic ties by reopening embassies in each other's countries.
Cuba y los Estados Unidos debemos aprender el arte de la convivencia civilizada, basada en el respeto a las diferencias entre ambos gobiernos y en la cooperación en temas de interés común.
Time now for all the other news from around the world in Global Buzz. The Malaysian government has officially declared the disappearance of Malaysian airline flight MH370 as an accident and said there were no survivors. Malaysian officials said that the recovery of the missing aircraft remained a priority and they had pursued every credible lead. The plane's whereabouts are still unknown despite a massive search in the southern Indian Ocean. According to investigators, the co-pilot was monitoring the AirAsia flight before it crashed. Captain Irianto was believed to have taken over the control of the aircraft when it started to ascend and then descended sharply. Investigators said the cockpit voice and the flight data recorders showed that the plane had been cruising at a stable altitude before the accident. An inquest into the death of hostages held during a siege at a Sydney cafe has revealed that one of the victims was shot dead by the gunman and another was killed by police bullets fired when the officers stormed the cafe. Katrina Dawson was killed as officers stormed the cafe after the gunman, a supporter of the Islamic State, murdered its manager. The Israeli President Rivlin has told the UN General Assembly that the West, Christians or Jews, have no war with Islam. Speaking at the Assembly, he said evil is not the domain of one religion or another, as it does not characterize a state or an ethnic group. The The first trial of the Ebola vaccine suggests that it is safe to use and generates an immune response. The results suggest that the vaccine is suitable for further testing in West Africa during the current outbreak. The vaccine is being co-developed by the US National Institutes of Health and GlaxoSmithKline. All right, some sports now, and it will be the battle of the top seeds in the women's final at the Australian Open this year. The world number one Serena Williams will face Maria Sharapova as the tournament closes in on a climax. Andy Murray also made it to the men's final. Here's a report on the semi-final clashes from today.
Serena Williams' pursuit for the 19th Grand Slam final continues. She overcame a feisty challenge from American teenager Madison Keys. Keys had earlier knocked out Serena's elder sister Venus in the quarterfinals, and there was early scare for Serena as well. Keys mashed her for power and took a 3-0 lead in the first set. But the world number one recovered to force a tie break and clinch the set with a big serve.
Williams wins the first set, but take it from me.
A fired-up Serena then dominated her opponent in the second set and opened up a 5-1 lead. However, it took her 9 match points to beat her opponent 7-6, 6-2 in less than 2 hours.
Well, I was just happy to get through it today. And I think I was able to serve big when I needed to, so that really helped me out a lot.
In the other semi-final, world number 2 Maria Sharapova was up against her compatriot Ekaterina Makarova in an all-Russian affair. Sharapova had early jitters as she saved 2 break points in the first game but soon eased into a 4-1 lead. However, she had an easy sailing in the second set. She won 6 games in a row to win the match 6-3, 6-2 and booked a place in her 10th Grand Slam final.
Today I thought I played solid. I did everything I had to do. I wasn't afraid for it to become a physical match. I think it was important to stand my ground in the first few games, which I did well.
In the men's singles semi-final, Andy Murray came back from a set down to beat 4th seed Thomas Berdych. The British top seed lost the tightly contested first set but recovered to win 6-7, 6-0, 6-3, 7-5 to reach his 4th Australian Open final. He will play the winner of Friday's semi-final between Novak Djokovic and Stan Wawrinka. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.